Hello, I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic, and today we'll see what the Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra is really capable of in real-world use. We'll go through around 200 test photos captured in a wide range of situations, from the streets of Prague to the mountains of Moravia. We'll also look at the key features, including zoom performance and the main 200-megapixel sensor. Let's get to it. And as always, I suggest we start with an overview of technical specifications. We have 4 lenses, 4 sensors here, and obviously the most important one is the main lens, main sensor. It has 23 millimeters and 200 megapixels. And here are some examples, and I'll show you many more of them, but this is just first couple of them to give you a chance to know what is coming, what to expect from that mobile phone, either in the spring in Prague or here in scenes like that, sunshine and shadows and coffee houses and all this stuff. Of course, we'll see a lot of photos from nature, from beautiful mountains, be able to see how the mobile phone performs under very tough conditions like here or here. Then we have 2 telephoto lenses. This is the telephoto number 1. It has 69 millimeters and 10 megapixels, and it's 3 times optical zoom, which means it's perfect for shots like that, when we do not need to zoom too far, but we are really happy that we are able to do portraits like that. And obviously 3 times zoom would really be useful even in situations like that, although the competition of the other one is really strong. Couple of more examples, couple of more details, couple of more shots from the city of Prague. And then we have the telephoto number 2. It has roughly 115 millimeters and 15 megapixels. And it's really useful for things you can see right here when we really need to zoom a lot. We'll get to it in a couple of minutes with many more details. But yes, of course, it's 5 times optical zoom, so it'll be extremely handy in scenes like that when I really need either to zoom to a distance, or I really would like to take details from faces of dogs, or even, this is a little bit weird, but yes, we are even able to make close-ups of moon. And indeed, I'll show you many more examples of where it's really safe to use the zoom to, got really interesting shots like here or here. And if you ask me what is the strongest feature of that category of mobile phones, then I would typically say yes, the ability to zoom. You can see this little squirrel is just running away, and I was able to capture that level of detail from a really big distance. So yes, if you need to zoom a lot, if you need to shoot sport, if you need to shoot in countryside, or even photos like that, then that category of mobile phones is definitely something you might consider. And obviously we should not forget there is a ultra-wide lens, and it is really useful for scenes like you can see here, when we need to squeeze a lot of information to a limited space. So it'll be handy in countryside, or when we want to capture landscape scenes like here or here, where I am able to get to a really, really short distance from the flowers and get a lot of stuff around. Architecture might be one of the cases where it's worth, and also do not forget that ultra-wide is really useful for that sort of macro photography. One of the reasons why people are buying that sort of mobile phones is that obviously you are able to zoom, and it's really incredible how amazing level of details are we able to get. So here is one of the examples. We can try it a couple of more times. One more situation where I was able to record the screen. So I'm going up from 0.6 up to 100. It's really a lot. So it says ultra wide, and I'm getting closer, and here is 100. Obviously this is a digital zoom. I do not certainly have to stress that the quality goes down dramatically, but still it is interesting. And one more example from Prague. We are starting on 0.6 going up to 100, which is here. Clearly some details were added by artificial intelligence, so you can't really count that every detail would be recorded, but still, I mean, if you see how far are we, if you see the level of details we are able to really get from the distance, then I still think under certain circumstances it does make sense. If you want to see some real life example, here we go. Mountains, sheep, and we are zooming at around 10 times zoom. And indeed, the quality is still really very reasonable. Once you hit the button more and you get to the area of 30, then yes, I mean, you can still use it for certain scenarios, but generally it won't be that exciting. So this is around 10, still perfect. This is around 30. Yes, it's actually better than I would have guessed. I would always suggest that once you buy these sort of mobile phones, these sort of devices, it's always really useful to do some tests and decide, okay, I'm going to shoot up to, I don't know, 30. And you can do many more really interesting things, one of which is something called penning. You need to go to the pro mode, you set shutter speed to a relatively long time, and then if you follow the car or a bike or whatever you want to photograph, you'll be able to get that incredibly interesting set of photos. Well, if you ask me why did I cover the space where the drivers are set, the reason is very simple, because you could recognize their faces, and that's something I really do not want. And now I invite you for an extensive trip through countryside and cities. We'll see many dozens of test photos, and as always, I'll be really going in a quite big pace, because the point is not that you study all these shots very carefully. The point is that you have a chance to see a broad range of photos from really many situations. And well, I hope when you see these shots that you are able to get some idea of what to expect. Some more photos, some more details, and running squirrel once again. Please do not forget how incredibly useful the ultra-wide lens might be for shots like that. It's great because you can show the flower and at the same time you are still able to see many more stuff like sky or forest or whatever you want. And some details, and once again, I mean, these are shots I really like, and for me, these photographs are examples of why that category of really expensive mobile phones simply makes sense, because they are getting us closer to the world of real photography with cameras, and that's what I really like. So, very different scenes, very complex situations, complex light, many different usages of lenses and sensors, and certainly interesting results. So here are the flowers in the white Carpathian Mountains, and again, complicated light. Spring did not start yet when I was shooting that test, so do not expect bright colors. Nothing really was happening in the field. The grass is still yellow, but sometimes, if I was lucky, I was able to get these colors. And again, if you watch that review on a good display, on a good monitor, then you'll probably like it a lot. So some more details. And let's change location, let's see examples of portrait modes of these amazing dogs. And again, it's incredibly useful to use the portrait mode because the background is blurred, so you have the feeling of space, and it really helps photos like this. It's really useful, but do not forget, obviously, that portrait mode is a bit of fake because the background is blurred by algorithms. So in the case of that amazing dog, sometimes the algorithm is not able to catch every detail, but it doesn't matter, it's still interesting and you should definitely experiment with that. Some more details, some more action shots, and let's go to the streets of Prague. Again, beautiful light, less light in cafes, and let's see examples from my favorite locations. Like this is a famous garden in the very center of Prague, and do remember these blossoms because in a couple of minutes I'll show you how it looked after maybe 2 weeks. Before we go there, just some examples of my favorite locations in the downtown Prague. Looks towards Prague Castle. Again, very complicated light, interesting scenes, interesting old town square where we were testing the zoom capabilities, and ultra-wide in different variations, Charles Bridge. And again, once more, I am really sorry I am going in so huge speed, but the content is not the point. The point is that you are able to see so many different photos and get an impression of what to expect if you decide to buy this mobile phone. You can check out my review of S26 Ultra, for instance, and yes, of course, the parameters are very similar, the photos will be very similar, but at the same time, there are always some changes in the image processing, and generally, if you have 25, do not get 26, obviously, but once you have the option, the newest models would always be slightly better than the previous ones. So the choice is yours. And yes, you already seen that garden, and you can now study many examples of how these amazing blossoms would look in the spring light. I'm combining here different lenses, different approaches to what I do, even sometimes so you can clearly see it's a portrait mode, but again, generally you can count that the basic photos where you do not use any computer tricks will always look nice. So these shots are taken in a very complicated light, and yet they are really nice. And finally, we are entering last parts of the day, so let's see a couple of final examples of how that mobile phone can handle very complex and very complicated light like here. And once again, for me, one of the real reasons why you should consider that category of smartphones is exactly what you see here. It means incredible ability to zoom. And one more scene, one more favorite, views of Prague, ultra-wide, and this famous piece of architecture called Dancing House, just on the banks of the Vltava River. And yes, the sun has just disappeared. It's something called blue hour, and yes, it's amazing. A lot of colors, a lot of lights. I think this is a really nice final shot to illustrate what you should expect from this mobile phone. And finally, let me show you a couple of examples of video, because I do not typically cover video capabilities of mobile phones because, well, to be frank, I'm really not good at it. In the case of still photography, I'm really good and experienced, and I really can promise you that what I say makes sense. In the case of video, the best thing I am able to do is exactly what I am doing right now. So I am showing you a couple of examples of clips, and I hope you'll be able to get your own impression. Obviously, I can guarantee that you will not be disappointed, because indeed this smartphone is without any doubts one of the best options you can get on the market, so the videos will be really nice as well. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope you got a bit of inspiration. Take care. I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic.